Hello, everybody. This is Noah and John, and we are from UrbanDigs, and it is Friday. So you're going to get your weekly Manhattan market update. John, let's get right to it. I'm looking at actively updated supply in Manhattan, 5656. Show me that chart.
56 it is. No, that's a big jump, 6% from the week before. And again, we are looking at actively listed supply. And if I'm going to go back and I'm going to scroll through the history to try to find another jump of a magnitude of 6% or more on a weekly basis to the upside, no, you're going to have to go back to the time right after the pandemic, right after that reopening. So this is, in terms of the updates coming in, updating that supply, this is a significant increase.
Yeah, and I just want to remind everybody that March and April are the two biggest new listing waves outside of September. So we're in it right now. This is kind of when the seasonal stuff is supposed to come on. We also got the macro stuff on the side. So we're sitting here and there's a debate going on. Is this seasonal, which is normal? Is this macro, which is different and changing and evolving? And this is the trick. This is the trick that's happening right now. And this is what I am focusing on, John. And I'm definitely going to try to take all the information I can get and try to give you any information that diverts and answers that question as time goes on. Let's move on to Manhattan demand, pending sales, 4306. Johnny, show me that chart.
So that's another increase for pending sales. It's a very slight increase, no, so 0.3%. So, we've seen supply really turn the corner. It was a nice move in supply. Pending sales still increasing, but at a slower pace.
Right. And if you look at the market pulse, again, 0.76, that is ticking down. But I got to tell you, from the data I see, it looks like deal volume is high. It looks like inventory is still low, even though it's rising. And we're seeing a little pop here. We're still kind of in tight inventory. And, there's still a big bid for Manhattan real estate. So, we got to keep an eye on this. It looks like we're going sideways. Maybe we're bottoming in the market pulse. I don't know, but we're going to keep an eye on it, see if we shift to a new level. Let's see what time brings. We're going to go over to the weeklies right now, John. I'm looking at supply, 469 things. That's down. Show me that chart.
It is down. It's down by about 12% on a weekly basis. Noah, I am going to blame that on spring break. I think a lot of private schools had their 2-week spring break. It's concluding this weekend. So that's my rationale for why supply is lower this week.
Right. So you would expect it to be a little higher. So you would expect it to tick up over the next couple of weeks. And again, April's our biggest month. So 500 is the level we're looking for, John?
I'm looking at 500. I think we're slightly below it, but yeah, I agree. I agree with you that in the next few weeks, I think we're going to see that number start ticking higher again as we enter April.
Okay, so let's put a target of 500 plus. That's where we kind of should be in April. So let's keep an eye on that weekly pace and see what that does. I'm looking at a contract sign now, measure of demand, 299. That is ticking down too. Johnny, show me that chart.
Yeah, and I was surprised to see that actually. No, I thought we'd be back over 300, but down 12% on contract signs again. Here's my spring break rationale. We'd had several weeks over 300. We just ticked down underneath it. Look, we're still in that number. I mean, I'm not. No one's going to say that contract signs are starting to fade, but I still think demand is still running heavy in Manhattan, and I think we're going to start seeing that number increase again as we enter April.
Yeah, we got spoiled, Johnny. We got spoiled by last year. We were doing an insane amount of deal volume. That's likely not going to happen again. I mean, this got over 400 for a while. I mean, remember that? That was kind of crazy. I mean, 300 deals a week. That is a lot. I just want to read it. That is strong. That's why I'm saying, like, even though the market pulse is ticking down, more brokers are updating their listings, and that's getting back into our actively updated supply pool. And in the meantime, the market pulse is like staying down there. It's giving this false impression that we're weakening when again, I don't see it in the demand, even though we're down 12%, 300 deals is a lot. I just want to point out though, when I go look at the monthlies, John, okay, this gives a nice clear take. Okay, we got a nice healthy 2,000 listings coming on. That's a good seasonal number, right? So we're close on that level. We got contract signs at 1276. We got off market at 445. And for the first time in a while, if I add these two numbers up, we are notably below this number of supply, which means, and this is how I pivot, right? When I look at net new listings chart that you were so graciously able to populate today, look at this chart. We've been talking about this off and on for the last year, how there's been a lot of net deficit, net downward pressure on supply. And for the first time in a while, in months, and again, look at the number change. This is the expected. When we extrapolate where we are and we take the average and we fill in the next week, 366 net positive. That's a nice jump, Johnny. What do you see?
No, I completely agree with you. No, but if I could take two views of this, right? So the spot view, the now view is that if you're a buyer, it's a great time to be a buyer because, you know, you still got low interest rates. You finally got some supply out there, and it doesn't seem like it's disappearing at a super fast clip. But if I'm going to fast forward, take my forward view, right? There's a lot of noise happening in mortgage rates. They're starting to tick up. So I'm not really talking about the super luxury sector, but I'm talking about that bulge bracket under 2 million, sort of the nuts and bolts of this thing. And, you know, as you get into April, into May, if we're looking at higher rates, I wouldn't be surprised to see buyers maybe pull back the reins a little bit and start getting more supply. So is it a good time to be a buyer? Certainly. Is it a good time to be a seller? Yes. With an overpriced listing? Absolutely not.
Right. That's a very good point. I mean, if I'm a buyer, I can't help but think what my psychology is, knowing what's going on with rates. And there's definitely some FOMO going on. There's definitely those section of buyers that are like, I got to go in, I got to lock in, I got to get this deal quick before rates go ahead of me. And then you do got another sector of that pool that's like, you know what, my cost went up X. I'm going to adjust my bid Y and see what happens. And maybe they're just pausing just a little bit. But overall, the deal volume is there. Here's my question. My question is this going to be one of these? Okay. Is it going to be one of these? Or are we looking at something like this? And that is the question. The depth of how far this goes. Do we stay in green 1 month and go? That's going to answer all of our questions. And if we start to come back next month and look at this and we start to see stuff like this and stuff like this, we got to have a different conversation.
Right.
And
I think that's that's an excellent point, Noah. And if you want to go back, I think the only time we can really compare to this in sort of a modern era, so to speak, within the last few years, you go back to 2019, you look at that active season of 2019, and sure enough, you know, March, you see 233 surplus, April 350, right? So you kind of climb that hump and then it comes back down. So it looks like, based on that 366 number, we're a little bit ahead of the 2019 trend. We're certainly not in that post-pandemic trend, but you're absolutely right. If we start seeing these numbers spike up, we are in a completely different situation.
That's exactly what I was going to say. John, we are in complete agreement. This is good stuff. This is timely stuff. It's definitely a good time to have this conversation. Thank you so much for pulling up that data. That is John Walkup. I am Noah Rosenblatt. We are both from UrbanDigs. Don't forget, if you guys got questions, we got answers. Just look at our forum right down here. If you want any of the reports that John whipped up today, it's going to be right over here in the weekly reports. Other than that, this has been your weekly Manhattan Market Update. We'll catch you next time.